Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Um, Good afternoon, everyone. Glass, can you hear me? We are actually expecting around 60 or more students to join our webinar this afternoon. And I think it's already 4:21 in the afternoon, and we will now start our webinar this afternoon. And before we start our webinar, let's start it with a prayer. Just pray together in silence. And after that, just please stay pause for a couple of minutes while also watching a short video for our singing of our national anthem. Let's put ourselves in the most holy presence of the Lord in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiging tegas ng sinananan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mong pangaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang islang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtitindig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang ay di magtitindig. Luman ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, muling langit sa piling mo. Ang hindi kaya na pagkay mag-amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Okay, so everyone, please can you click thumbs up or any reactions so I would see that if you can hear me, if you can see also my screen, everyone. Can you click thumbs up? Hindi ko siya makita inyo. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. But before I would formally introduce our speaker this afternoon, of course, I would just like to thank everyone, despite with a busy schedule, all my CBAR OM students, organizational management students, still managed to join our webinar this afternoon. So due to the time constraints, we're not able to have it face to face. Supposedly, no, we can have it face to face, but unfortunately, with the several suspended classes, no, we cannot really possibly have it since our this is going to be actually our last week. No, so I will just introduce our speaker this afternoon. I'll just restore my
Mga kababayan, ang
sorry. All right. So again, thank you so much everyone for joining this afternoon. And it's always inspiring to gather us with people who are eager to learn, to grow and strengthen your professional journey. And this session is remind us that the continuous learning is not just about gaining new skills, and it's about opening doors, challenging old ways of thinking and discovering better ways to serve our communities and your future organizations. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce someone who embodies excellence, integrity, and a genuine passion of or for empowering others. Let me introduce you. Our speaker this afternoon is a dedicated system and process specialist with a strong foundation in business management, accounting, and organizational compliance. Currently serving as a system and a process supervisor at the Negros Women for Tomorrow's Foundation Incorporated, or NWTF, since 2017, and he plays a vital role in system design, integration, and user support across HR, accounting, and other organizational platforms. He works also extend his privacy governance, serving as the organization's compliance officer for data privacy, ensuring responsible data handling aligned with the Philippine regulations. Before joining the NWTF, Mr. Brian gained extensive operational and auditing experience as a senior store inventory auditor at the Philippines 7 Corporation, or 7-Eleven Philippines, from 2014 to 2016. In that role, he conducted monthly inventory audits across multiple branches and led his team in planning, scheduling, and operational strategizing, skills that now inform his systems focused leadership. Mr. Bryan's academic background is equally impressive. He completed his master in business administration at the University of Saint LaSalle from 2016 to 2018, graduating with highest academic honors and earning the Alma Mater Award, the school recognitions for holistic excellence. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Management Accounting from the same university, where he consistently excelled, receiving distinctions such as Most Outstanding Student Business Leader, Academic Excellence Awardee, and being named as a Best Thesis Candidate. Beyond his corporate work, Mr. Bryan is committed to education and youth development, and he has been a part-time professor at the University of Negros Occidental Recoleta since 2019, sharing both technical knowledge and industry experience with students. And he also previously taught at the University of Saint LaSalle Liceo from 2020 to 2022. His passion for teaching demonstrates his commitment for shaping future professionals in business management fields. He continues advance his academic journey as a candidate for a Doctor of Philosophy in Business Management, where he has achieved Dean's Lister status. And overall, Mr. Bryan stands out for his combination of technical expertise, academic excellence, leadership and system management, and dedication to community education, making him well rounded and highly credible as a resource person and a speaker this afternoon. Without further ado, let us all welcome our beloved guest speaker this afternoon, Mr. Brian Janelle Gayoso, MBA.
Thank you so much, Doc Mary May, for those kind words and for that
Good
introduction.
afternoon, Sir Brian.
Allow me to share my presentation. I'm requesting now to share my presentation. So first and foremost, I would like to say, how are you, everybody? I hope you're doing fine. That despite the hectic schedule for your week, I would like to say thank you also for joining me here today and this afternoon for your webinar for operations management. So the theme or the topic for this afternoon is building resilient organizations amid technological disruption. Okay. I hope everybody can see my presentation. Can I get a thumbs up, please, from everybody? Okay, thank you so much. Again, nice meeting you all virtually. So as what Doc Mary May has mentioned, I am Brian Janelle Gayoso. I work currently with Negros Women for Tomorrow Foundation Incorporated as their systems and process supervisor. So when I actually got the topic for this afternoon, I'm very happy with the topic because it's actually in line with what I'm currently doing at the organization that I'm connected with. So allow me to chunk. No? So our seminar title for today is Building Resilient Organizations Amid Tension. So first and foremost, what do we mean when we say you are resilient? Okay? What do we mean when we say you are resilient? When a person or an individual is being mentioned or being told that you are resilient, what do we mean by that? Anyone wants to raise their hand? We only want less one participant. You're afraid that you'll be mentioned?
Plus, you may also
Okay.
chat
What do you
in
mean when you
a
say you
chat
are
box.
resilient? Yes, no? You may also write your thoughts in the chat box. Okay. I guess you're shy, no? Or I guess you're multitasking there, but no worries. I have provided the definition of resilient for you, for everyone. So we have the definition of resilient as the ability to reconnect, no, ability to from recover from setbacks, adapt well to change, and keep going in the face of adversities. So when you say resilient, you're able to recover from setbacks. For example, during the Typhoon Tino, during the earthquakes, and obviously, of course, for our personal battles that we encounter in day-to-day lives, no, we could say that we are resilient. Okay, so because we're trying to overcome these challenges. Okay, so how about in an organization setting? How do we call an organization as resilient? Okay, we call an organization as resilient if it is able to also to overcome the different challenges that it may encounter along its through the years. For example, during the COVID pandemic, that is being resilient. During what we call the earthquakes, the typhoons, no, we had also Typhoon Odette. Okay, so during the pandemic, it was really a crucial time for all the business organizations because it mattered because a lot of organizations were trying to survive, um, not only on financially but also trying to survive also in terms of the legacy that it may continue its legacy even after the pandemic. But what is being resilient when you talk about um later on about our topic? So what do we mean when say you are a resilient organization? Number one, you are prepared. Okay, so being prepared for any challenges that you may encounter. Okay, as a quote would say, luck favors the prepared. Okay, so if not prepared to accept all the blessings in your life, how will you take these blessings? Okay. Number two is adaptable. So an organization would be adaptable if it could manage its organization or withstand any challenges that it may encounter. For example, the topic for today is a resilient organization despite these technological disruptions. So technological disruptions, what do we mean by that? We have, for example, transitioning from just a physical store. We already have the selling of products online. For example, also during the pandemic, before we were just only accepting cash, but because again, to limit the spread of COVID-19, we already accept payment other payment channels. Or for example, when we try to um, improve our systems currently, we're not only limited to the available resources, we also use the help of machine learning, big data, and AI. Next three, we have being collaborative. Okay, so we say collaborative. You it's also same with the quote that no man is an island. Okay, so the organizations that you have from suppliers, from all the stakeholders, customers. You also have the government. No, it should be collaborative with all the stakeholders, may it be also internal, for example, employees and external employees. Next is trustworthy. When you say a specific organization, for example, Jollibee. Is it a trustworthy organization? Some would say yes, because what? It provides good food. No? It provides also livelihood for others. How about other organizations? No? Famous organizations such as, for example, Ayala. When we say Ayala, it's built. It's because of their brand or their for example, Ayala Land, Ayala Malls. We say Ayala, it's already, a name that you could respect, no? Because again of the services and the products it could offer. And lastly, is responsible. So an organization is responsible, for example, environmentally. No, they are responsible when it comes for their in terms of their waste, and when it comes, for example, during disasters, they were able to help also those who are in need. So these all are characteristics rather of being a resilient organization. But what are the two characteristics I would like to emphasize for this seminar are number 1 and 2. No, number 1 is being prepared, and number 2 is being adaptable. Okay? So when there are technological disruptions, you have to be prepared and adaptable. So what are examples of technological disruptions? Before we had these mobile phones, no, we have analog phones. Okay, before the rise of smartphones. So before, phones were just for texting, calling, you know, not even taking photos, not even listening to music. We have different devices for it. No? For example, when you want to listen to music, you have your Walkman, no CD player, you have your iPods, okay? So, but now you have all of these cameras. You have your digital cameras, okay? So now we have these I, disruption, no, from analog phones to smartphones. That's technological disruption. We also have, for example, a physical store, and transitioning to an online store, or for example, when you purchase something, instead of buying it physically, you would buy it online because it's cheaper. It's cheaper when you buy online, and at the same time, there's reliability also when it comes to their service delivery. Okay. So with this one, what are the 12 disruptive technologies according to ASEAN Post? So these are actually examples of disruptive technologies in our um, economy or time today. No, so I would like to emphasize the AI. No, it's very relevant right now, not only academically, but also for organizations. We have also renewable energy. Instead of harnessing energy from fossil fuels, what we would do is having cars that are powered through electricity, or for example, solar powered buildings or houses. We also have IoT, or Internet of Things, cloud technology. So before, you will be saving your files via USB or flash drive, as what people would say. But now we have this cloud technology. We also have the AR, or augmented reality, the next generation genomics, and for example, the autonomous and near autonomous vehicles, wherein there is no driver trying to drive the vehicle. Okay, so these are examples of disruptive technologies. Okay, so the question is, why should we go digital? Okay, so here is an example of a table from Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas that a lot of individuals currently are now transitioning from physical payments to digital payments. Okay, so we have here, for example, the share of digital to total digital payments by volume. What do we mean with this table or this figure? So, for example, we have our digital payments. So we have already 57.4%. So imagine, more than half are already paying online. No? Or for example, when we try to eat outside, you would relate to that as well. Instead of bringing cash, you would what? You would ask the sales lady or the waiter if you have GCash, no, or if you have other modes of payment. So instead of paying through cash, no, so everybody or all is now transitioning from just from just merely the old technology to current or updated technology. Okay, so I would say, why would you go digital? Because all organizations are doing it. Okay, why? Because they want to adapt to the current environment. If you would go outside country, or anyone who's the experience going out of the country, no, for example, you have Singapore, for example, you have other ASEAN countries currently. Most of their payments currently are now no cards, or you have, for example, Apple Pay or Google Pay, so or Google Payment. No, so you have already these outside of the country. And when it comes to our country, Philippines, we're already slowly adapting to it as well. So digital transformation has become essential for businesses to remain competitive in today's ever-changing technological landscape. So the key word there is being competitive. Okay? So you cannot really compete or try to be the best in your area or in your industry if you do not make use of digital transformation. Okay? For example, there's a pharmacy at Libertad. No, one already uses the POS or point of sale system, while the other pharmacy uses pen and paper. No, so if you would see already the difference of the number of customers there, no, in Libertad, you would see that a lot of people are trying to purchase to those already businesses that are slowly adapting to technology. Okay, many companies are adopting new technologies to streamline their operations and improve their bottom line. So what do we say streamline operations? So for example, there are different activities in our organizations that are repetitive, no? Liwat-liwat, okay? And we want to lessen those effort, those times nga we try to repeat what we're doing, and also we try to lessen the costs of the organization. So when we lessen the costs of the organization, we also improve the bottom line. So what do we mean say bottom line? Of course, the profit or income of an organization. Okay? So digital transformation is a two-way effect. No? It would improve our delivery of products or services, and at the same time, it would improve the net profit or the profitability of the organization. Okay? I hope everybody is still with me. No? I hope you are listening to the slides. Okay? If there are any questions, you may try to put it in the chat and it will be answered later. So there are two words. No? We have digitization and digital transformation. Most of the people intertwine or not intertwine, interchange rather these terms. Okay. When you say digital transformation, yeah, it's the same digitization. It's the same. Well, actually, it's not the same. Okay. So why is it not the same? Number one, for digitization, it's just simple digitalization or digitization or digitizing is converting data to digital formats or using tech or technology to improve existing processes. For example, online forms and faster workflows. For example, if you're trying to ask for a survey, what is, the traditional way of asking individuals or having a survey? Of course, it's through pen and paper, right? You would ask, how are you? What is your age? Are you satisfied with the service that is being offered currently? Yes or no? And why? That is, the pen and paper. But how do you digitize that workflow or that form? You use no online platforms such as Google Forms. So that is digitization. No, you try only to shift from instead pen and paper, you try it to shift towards online forms. That's digitization. But what is digital transformation? So we say digital transformation, it is a holistic, a strategic overhaul, fundamentally changing business models, culture, and value creation using digital tech to innovate and compete and not just automate. Okay? So when you say DX, it's also digital transformation. It involves reimagining how the company operates, engage customers, and creates value, offering requiring new skills, leadership, mindset shifts, and going far beyond just using new tools. For example, your organization, no, it's you're trying to use already Google Forms. But people inside your organization would say, ay nga, obra-obra pa na Google Forms, kalaway man na, nang usik na sa tiyempo, di man ko na kabalo. No? That's a mindset. That's the culture of the organization. So that's digitization. But how do you do digital transformation? You try to require new skills. For example, training people on how to use Google Forms to answer Google Forms and at the same time submit their answers through Google Forms. So it is, take note, a holistic, no, hindi lang siya pwede nga isa lang siya ka-side. Okay? And also, there is what we call mindset shifts. Okay? Mindset shifts. So, that is a problem when we are trying to implement organizational changes or changes in the organization. There are resistance to changes. No? Especially when we try to change from just merely pen and paper or traditional processes to digital, no? Or automation. Okay? People would say nga, example, currently, in our fast food chains, no, what is being implemented? Okay? You have, for example, the payment, hindi na ka mo magkado sa cashier. If you have cards, if you have GCash, you just put your order in the screen, you know, you tap your orders and pay it there. Okay, that is digitization or digital transformation. But people or customers actually sometimes do not like that one because why? Number one, the adaptability is there. There is resistance still. No? What can Jollibee and McDo do or other fast food chains or other businesses doing that one? Number one, instead of just pushing it to the customers, what they could do is teaching them how to use these platforms. There should be an assistant guiding them on how to order and such. No? So that, you know, digital transformation, it will take time, yes, but it will also improve. No? It would be more efficient if we do digital transformation. So, what are the core challenges when it comes to digital transformation? Okay, the first one I've already mentioned is resistance to change. People, no, would always resist to change. Okay? So, for example, no, if you're trying to implement a big change in your organization, what would be the response? No, mang hindi ang tao, people would say no. So the higher or the bigger that you're trying to put changes in the organization, the higher the resistance is. So what do is you put it in incremental changes, gagmay nga changes, so that people will do it incrementally also or step by step. Second, we have also leadership issues. Okay? Leadership issues. So for example, if people on the, for example, staff, clerk, no, are already willing, no, to adapt to new technology, but the bosses, no, or the top management would say no, no, then you cannot implement your digital transformation. And that is where your leadership issues come in. So dapat aligned. It should be aligned with the leaders and the organization as well and the culture that the organization has. Okay? Next is your poor change management planning. Okay. So, for example, you're trying to implement a new system in your organization, but it was not properly communicated to all the stakeholders inside the organization. For example, the HR system. You're trying to implement a new HR system. So, the initial areas or comments would be, I don't like that one. I want the system before, or I like the process before. Why? No, there are already complaints. Why? Because you did not discuss to them the benefits of changing from traditional or older system to a new one. Okay? Or you, for example, you were unable to share to the employees, to the individuals in your organization that these changes are required for you to have no efficient processes or streamlined processes. For example, before when you try to apply for a loan, it would take 20 days. But because of the new system, it would only take 5 days. No, so there are already benefits there. So what do you do? Okay, for these poor change management planning, you try to incorporate all the required activities for this change management. Okay, what are the other challenges? We have four. We have communication gaps. Also, example earlier, no, if the upper management did not communicate it well to the employees, they would have a hard time, of course, in transitioning their, digital transformation. Okay. Next is your legacy systems and processes. What do you mean say legacy systems and processes? So legacy systems and processes class, or it's more of no may mga daan na tabalang sistema, or we have already old systems in place. Okay, we already have old systems in place, and when we try to transition to the new systems or processes, it would have it would entail a higher time or a higher adaptability or time for us to adjust, higher adjustment, no? And also legacy systems and process. For example, the data there, no? For example, the customer information are there. So you try to get the data there, you migrate it to the new to the new system. So you would have also, worries nga ay base hindi na siya mag-work, no? So that is a problem with legacy systems and processes. Hindi pala mag-match ang inyong nga daan yung system sa bag-o nga system. So your system before would not match the new system. Next is your skills and capability gaps. Okay? So first and foremost, when you try to implement digital transformation, okay, you have to also train your employees or all of the people involved in the project because it is a different skill set already. Okay? For example, kung sa una magsulat ka lang sa form mo sa pen and paper, no, you do not have worry, you do not it's more of make sure nga kumpleto ang papel, kumpleto ang pag-fill out sang customer, no? But for example, you're trying to implement a new form, bag-o na nga form online. So dapat ang skill set nga i-prepare man is number one, how do you support your customers? Ay mamangkot ang customer, how do I submit this form? So you have to check, ay ma'am, nang may kulang ka di, sala gali ang imong date of birth, sala imong nga pangalan nga pag-input, dapat middle name na di siya, imong input ang first name. No? So you have also to make sure na ang skill set is there and also the capability. No? How would you teach a person if the person is not capable of accepting those information? Okay? So that is also misalignment. So dapat ang capability bala class, no, or you have to make sure also that the people that you're trying to implement the digital transformation are also capable. Okay? There is a taboo lang, no, galing nga mamal people, ay mga tigulang hindi sila lasig mag-adapt sa mga technology, nakabudlay ni sila ya ituluan. Di gani sila kabalo maggamit gani paano mag-print, no? They're already, connotations, or we have mga questions already of their capability. But that is why you have to train. No, the answer there is train them. You provide better training for them. And for those with capability gaps, you try also to fill in the gap for their capabilities. Again, through training, through intensive training if hindi kaya. Or, for example, letting them test the system first. Okay? And lastly, we have funding. No? So your um when you have your digital transformation, it's expensive. No, why? No, hindi lang siya, for example, hapos nga, saylo na ni ang papel sa sa laptop na tatanan ma-encode. No, the cost of laptops, the cost of building a system, the cost of hiring IT individuals to create your system. These requires funding. Okay? And that is your core challenge. How will you try to transform your organization or adapt to the digital transformation if you do not have the funding? Okay? So organizations would try also to save a portion of their income for digital transformation or future na mga future purposes. Okay? So these 7 are the core challenges when it comes to digital transformation. Okay? So are there any questions with the core challenges of the digital transformation? You may chat it, and we will answer it later. Okay? So allow me to proceed. So how do we overcome these challenges? No, I've already mentioned earlier some of those ways on how to overcome these challenges. Okay. So we have here, number 1 is the management support and commitment. Okay, so we have to ensure that, as top management, you have to get the yes of the top management or the support of the management and their commitment as well. Hindi na pwede na you try to implement change, you try to implement new things in your organization, but nagapangindi ang mga bosses, nagapangindi ang top management. No? So you cannot do that. No, you could not transform it if you have, no support from your management. Okay? And at the same time, commitment. Next is cultivating a culture of agility and adaptability. Okay? So, dapat, when you say agility, dapat you're able to do things in a faster level. No? Or for example, when you say agility, for example, ay amo ning ato kay task subong. Okay, done at the next na siya nga task. No? You're able to do things on a faster level, in a speed high mas speedy, and at the same time you're able to adapt it right away. No, silo ka dayon. So that's agility and adaptability. So you cannot also try to implement digital transformation if you do not have the adaptability. Okay? So you have to inculcate it in your organization. Okay, budlay na siya. It's hard for the organization to transition or to implement digital transformation if you do not have a culture of adaptability. Next is aligned communication. All should be informed, all stakeholders, all the management, all the leaders, all the bosses should be informed. All communication should, all needed communication should be given to those stakeholders. Because we do not want anyone to be left out in the dark. Hindi pwede nga pabayaan, ay, okay lang, sila hindi man sila guro, wala man sila labot, no? So, we cannot do that. We should ensure that we have to talk with each other, departments, employees. For example, ma-implement ka bago nga HR system. So, would it affect your HR staff only? Of course not. It would not only affect the HR staff only. It would affect what? Everyone. Employees are using HR system. For example, si UIS. No, in your point of view, you try to use UIS. For example, enrollment. No, there's a new feature. Enrollment shall be now made digitally. Okay, so what would you do or what would happen if you will not communicate it with the students? No, there would be confusion. What would happen to the accounting department or accounting office if you would not communicate those changes? Pati nga na sila nga wala na digabayad ang iban or they would ask also ng damo na diga pila anay how? No? Kaya dapat gali sa enrollment sa UIS, dapat bayad anay. So that was not communicated as well. Or for example, nga ng damo na hinay na ang inyong website sa UNOR. It's because the IT system did not anticipate also the number of people using UIS. So that is aligned communication. Dapat when you try to implement something, it should be communicated to all departments across stakeholders. Okay? Next is upskill and training. So that this is what I mentioned earlier about the skills gap and the capability gaps. So upskill and training. For example, no, you would hear news about call center agents that would be fired, no, or that where they would be removed from their work. Why? They will be replaced by AI. So as an individual, if you're a call center agent, no, what would you do? You have to upskill, no? You have to think of ways to improve yourself. For example, you don't know how to do Microsoft Excel, or for example, you don't know how to navigate your computer. You try to watch YouTube videos so that you would improve your understanding on the different applications or softwares, no, so that you would also improve your skill. Okay? For example, wala ko yung may makita sir nga training about these different skills that I want. It's expensive. No, there are a lot of YouTube videos or a lot of TikToks that would help you navigate or help you upskill. No, the keyword there is upskill. No, so hindi pwede nga subong, no? For example, you students, no, would just say nga okay na siya no? Okay na siya nang basa mo na siya, no? As students, we should also improve ourselves. For example, in sa Zoom, no, how do we navigate Zoom? No, dapat kabalo ka mo also how to navigate. For example, how do you as simple as sharing your screen, being a host for this meeting. So you have to also learn how to upskill yourselves and also training. Okay? In a corporate context, training should be provided by the IT team, if not the IT team, the systems team, so that when you implement the system, they are already prepared. So, sir, what if wala gali nila yakin tudlo sa amon? The IT team also or the support team should also ensure to provide manuals. No? So, dapat may ka-user manual on how to navigate a specific system. So, that is upskill and training. And lastly, is improving your risk management. So, when you do digital transformation, or transformation in the digital era, there are different already risks involved. No? For example, mga hacker, no? Mga fraudsters, mga phishing. No? So, example, a text would come from, ay, Gcash manihalin, click this link to get your bonus, to get your 1,000 pesos bonus. People would click. Oh, okay? But you have to be more vigilant. Okay? Dapat ang risk management. So, anong ginaobra sa mga GCash? No, they would text, ay, nang naka-receive ka link, no, hindi na siya dapat pag-i-click. Okay? Or for example, BSP also released an advisory that all banks should not send links to through emails or text. So class, no, just a bottom line for this example, hindi ka mo mag-click sa mga links nga gin-text sa inyo or gin-email. Okay? So kaya mo ng rule ni BSP. So that is improved risk management. Damo na mga manug-into online. So one way to improve risk management is, for example, magbayad ka GCash. Sang una, anong ginaobra? Masulat ka sang imo nga mobile number, gakasala ka magsulat sang imo nga mobile number. Ay, sala, tubala na send ko. No, so what BSP did is to improve the sending of money through QR, no, QR codes. Or for example, ng ma-login gamit imo nga number sa GCash. So anong pwede naton obra? Hindi mo pag i-send ang number mo, i-send mo lang ang QR mo. 'Di ba? So that those are improved risk management as well. So for example, kung ikaw empleyado sa isa ka company, you would also not go to sites nga sketchy or dangerous. Okay? So these five no are things or on how to overcome or to manage organizational change in the digital era. Okay? So are there any questions before I proceed to the next slide? Okay, I guess there are none. So let's proceed. Why do we need to embrace digital change? So these are benefits. First is efficiency and productivity. For example, what process or a process that would take days would already give us 5 minutes already or lessen the number of days for processing. For example, ang mag-enrollment, for example lang class, enrollment instead of 5 days, 3 days na lang siya. That is efficiency productivity. So, kung ikaw may empleyado, you have a new system. So, kung may new system ka, instead nga i-waste mo ng time mo for 5 days, it would lessen already to 3 days. Ang 2 days na you could already look for other tasks to work on. This is also important. Data-driven decision-making. So, data-driven decision-making class is, for example, you are a manager in an organization. Example, sir, will we buy a new laptop? So how would you say yes or no? Kayo damo na sir gagamit sang laptop niya isa, magbayad sila. So as a manager, would you say yes right away? Of course not. You would not say yes right away. What would you do? Kwaon ko ang data nga tanan nga nagamit sang isa ka laptop ay 200 na sila kabilog. So it's time already to purchase 2 more laptops, not just 1. So this data-driven decision making. Okay? Next is enhanced customer experience. Most of us, we experience this one. Nga magbayad ka bala class GCash, anong inyo pirming ginakulbaan? Nga kung magbayad ka mo GCash, hindi magsulod ang transaksyon. Wala internet sa sulod sang restaurant, sang kalan-an. Okay? So, if you try to do digital change, dapat improvement ang processes mo. So, dapat sa sulod sa imong organization na may internet so that the customer experience would be good. Though ikaw pa yung mahuya, nagbayad ka cashless, but though ikaw pa ang mahuya because, again, kadugay sa process. Okay? Basi people would say, tanin, cash ka na lang. So, you have to improve also because you want to enhance the customer experience. Next is cost savings and transparency. Okay? So, yes, buying new technology is costly, but in the long run, it would save you. For example, also, 20 people would work on a specific project because manual pa kamutanan. Manual pa pag-record nyo sa accounting records nyo. But, you had a new accounting system, it would only take 10 days. And fewer people, 5, for example, 5 individuals, 6 individuals na lang. So that is already cost savings on your end. Okay? Next, this one, in line with our webinar today, is resilience and adaptability. For example, sang pandemic, how did or companies or organizations adapt to that COVID-19. So, hindi pwede dine-in, pwede delivery. No? So, that is already a change to their process. For example, magbayad ka sa una, dapat makadto ka gid sa cashier, kadto ka gid sa SM bills payment, subong ga-accept na sila online payments. Okay, so that's resilience and adaptability. And lastly is competitive differentiation. So when you say differentiation, it sets you apart from your other organizations. No, when you try to think of fast food chain, Jollibee is top on your mind. Kay ano namit siya, no? When si spaghetti, si Jollibee ginakadtuan dayon or Chicken Joy. That's differentiation. So when you have digital changes, you are also to put yourself in a different level with your competitors. For example, no, si BDO, no? You have been to BDO, na pwede ka na, for example, set your appointment. For example, makadto ka sa branch, mag-deposit ka, withdraw, you could do online appointments. No? Beforehand, maabot ko to be 11:30. Sige, set mo time 11:30. You could already proceed to the branch to have your transaction and you would not wait for a longer period of time. That it also coincides with enhanced customer experience. Okay? So, these class are benefits of digital change. That is why we need really to transform, no, to implement digital transformation, and so that it would make us become resilient. So, since I'm working with NWTF, no, how did we apply digital transformation? Okay, so for those who does not know or do not know what is Negros Women for Tomorrow Foundation Incorporated, it was founded in 1984. So imagine we were not born yet, including me, including Doc May. Now we were not yet born. It is a non-profit microfinance committed to fight against poverty by providing Grameen-based microfinancing and developmental services to the marginalized urban and rural poor of the Philippines. Okay? So ano na siya, sir, ang microfinance? So microfinance institutions, they are institutions that provides a broad range of financial services. No? Kung ang mga pigado, hindi sila sa bangko, you have these microfinance institutions. So number one, pwede ka kautang, pwede ka ka-save sa imo kwarta, mayroon ka pension, mayroon ka insurance, and even money transfer service. So take note that microfinance institutions, most of the time, no, or all of the time, the clients are poor and low-income households. Kung i-compare mo sa mga BDO and BPI, mga milyonaryo na ilay ang mga gina-cater. But for us, for Negros Women for Tomorrow Foundation, we cater poor and low-income households. Okay? So, we have these four projects or organizations. So we have the Dunganon, Project Dunganon. We have also Kasanag. We also have the Dunganon Bank and our IT infra team, which is the NIS or NWTF Integrated Systems Corporation. So it is an organization with different group of companies. So for example, si Dunganon Bank, so may bangko kami nga amon, ga-provide kami mga ATMs, e-money, and also we also have NWTF Integrated Systems Corporation. We offer software and hardware nga mga mga technological equipments also for our customers and also for our branches. So these are examples or photos of what we do, okay, in our organization. So we have here free checkup, we have here the microfinancing, we have also environmental causes, for example, tree planting, we have social services, and we also have here recently, we implemented the electric vehicle nga charging station. So if you have electrical vehicles, you could charge your vehicles in our office, here sa head office. Okay? So let me just share with you, no, since we are under microfinance, so let me share with you what is the digital landscape for Philippine microfinance institutions. Number one, there's already high mobile penetration in the Philippines. What do you mean say high mobile penetration? A lot already of customers have cell phones, no? If hindi man gitanan, but we have mostly. Next is growing mobile money adoption. Okay? GCash, no? Most of us already have GCash. And also, we have government initiatives for financial inclusion. So, BSP class also promotes financial inclusion. What are the challenges? Number one, limited infrastructure in rural areas. Since again, we are offering we are offering our services sa mga pigado, sa mga rural areas. Problema dira is internet. Wala kita internet. Cost constraints. It's expensive again for digital transformation. Client digital literacy. So our clients range from early 20s to late 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and we have also the problem there when it comes to implementation. We have also data security and privacy concerns. So, dapat make sure ta nga ang inyong mga bank account, inyong mga name, age, birth date, hindi dapat mag-leak sa online world and compliance with regulators. So, example, BSP, we have also SEC or Securities and Exchange Commission, also have Data Privacy or National Privacy Commission, and a lot more. So, for the microfinance institution, what is the benefit nga ma-improve kami or we have digital transformation? So, for example, increased efficiency, mas dasig na kami mag-release ng loan namon instead two days, magpaugat or magpadugay dira sa may para maghulat sang ila release, expanded outreach. So, instead nga cater lang kami sa Luzon, Visayas, we also cater to clients sa Mindanao, pagin nga mga lugar nga hindi matap sa mga universal banks. Fourth is new revenue streams. So, instead sang una nga magpalawan, padala na, pwede na ka na fund transfer online. Kung makita nyo class, even Palawan had adapted to digital transformation. Just an example ha. For example, so una magpadala kwarta si nanay, tatay, most of the time it's Palawan Pay, Palawan. But now we already have Palawan Pay. So you could already use Palawan Pay. So that is new revenue streams. Kaya hindi ka na magpadala through Palawan, you already have other tools or other ways on how to send money. And lastly is improved risk management. For example, as we all know, we also pautang sa mga individuals. We also improve that one, ang risk management, kasi ba lang ang mga tao, gid ang may capacity magbayad, ang willing magnegosyo para kabayad. So that is also our better risk scoring. So that is, or those are rather, the benefits for MFIs or microfinance institutions. Going back to our organization, so this is our digital transformation journey, si NWTF. Sa una class, ang amon nga records are stored. For example, may branch sa Negros, may branch sa Cebu, may branch sa Palawan. Ang mga information or data na i-class sang mga branches, ara lang sila dito nga area. It's just there. So, noobrahon mo. For example, diri ko sa head office, akong manager, kilalan ko tanan nga data, mapakadto katutawo, kuwaon to nila ang data, kag ipadala sa head office. That is how we were back then. But in 2018, we introduced the centralized web-based database system here at head office. So, hindi na kami class kilalan magpadala tao dito para magkuha sang data sang example sa Palawan, Palawan branch. What they do is connect na lang sa internet and submit. That system is already web-based. So, kung makita binamon ang loans ng isa ka kliyente, pwede na namon diri makita sa head office because connected na talan ang data nila sa head office. Okay? So, also, no, kung sang una may cheque ang pag-release subong e-money na or ATM. Next is implementation of Android tablets for loan officers. Kung sa una class, manukot sila, gadalan sila papel, damo nga papel. But again, we did not actually get 100% eliminate paper, no? But na-lessen namon because we implemented Android tablets sa tanan nga manugkolekta namon. So magbayad sila, gagamit na sila isang Android tablet. Okay? I-total lang nila, ada ang total nga balayaran sa kliyente, i-click lang nila ang pay kung mabayad ang kliyente. Currently, we are implementing mobile app for clients. So, ang mga kliyente, pwede na sila ka-download sa mobile app sa Android. So, pwede na nila makita ilang savings, ilang loans, ilang insurance, kung mayroon sila insurance claims, pwede na nila ma-check currently. And lastly, this is our digital transformation journey. It's still ongoing. We're trying to provide also mobile banking services for our clients. So that is the goal also. Nga do ka self-service sa siya class, no? Hindi ka na kailangan magkadto pa sa branch para mamangkot kung pila imo bilin nga kwarta, no? Example, mag-withdraw ka, padala ka kwarta, hindi mo na kailangan nga magkadto pa sa branch. So you have already the liberty to check your transactions online. So that is our transformation journey here in NWTF. So what are the key challenges and initiatives of our organization? Number one, poor buy-in from frontliners and clients. Again, no, kung may implement ka nga bag-o, mambala siya. And poor digital literacy, mama sila nga budlayan man ko na man, hindi man ko na kabalo. Si ano lang daw, si Marie lang daw, or si ano lang, tiyay, ano lang nang magamit. No, that is, poor buy-in. So what do? We train staff and we conduct orientation from one branch to another or even online to ensure that all clients will be given the chance to use our mobile banking, for example. Okay? Next, we have also for our processes. So poor network in remote areas and fast-changing technology. So what do? We promote the agile culture and investing in new technologies. For example, kung hindi gid kaya sang PLDT malang or smart, we do what? We do also Starlink. We get Starlink. If hindi gid kaya sang PLDT and smart. Lastly is high cost, takes years to achieve ROI. But, no, if it is being supported by the management and you have the cost-benefit metrics, surely mabalik ni siya ang inyong aging gasto with the organization. For example, no, instead of, again, working double time or overtime, you have already shorter period of processing because you have invested in new technologies. Okay? So, these are the key challenges and initiatives. So, these are examples, no? So, transitioning from face-to-face payments to other payment channels. So, kung sang una, dapat sa loan officers, so hindi ka nakabayad through GCash. Okay? Kung natamad ka na magkadto sa centers. Okay. Also, isang una, no, when we disburse our money or your loans, it's a cheque. No? Masulat pa sa cheque, check writer. But now, we rolled out the ATM. Kag pwede na nila ma-check ng ila balansi through mobile banking should they wish to register. And we also already have these two applications. So we have the mobile app, wherein you could fund transfer from Dunganon Bank to other banks, or example, GCash. And also we have our NWTF app. So, base na ano ka mga duwagin ang app ninyo because we have two client classifications. One is they are clients of banks, and number two, they are clients of microfinance institutions. So this is what we're trying to implement now, ng mobile application, and for at the same time our microfinance clients. So we implemented, no, as part of our social business, no, we want to be more inclusive in our culture of innovation. So last year, we did this pitch up wherein students are being able to propose to us their technology-focused initiative. Or for example, may bago silang program nga i-implement, and WTF will fund them and, you know, implement that tool, programming apps or tools, or later on these students will work with us so that we could create applications or better tools for our organization. Okay, so these are examples of our digital. Allow me, to share a video. This is about our our data center here in Negros Women for Tomorrow Foundation. Okay.
Technology is no longer a thing of the future, but rather a must of today. Negros Women for Tomorrow Foundation and Dunganon Bank Incorporated continuously works to provide the best financial and non-financial development services for its clients, embracing technology at its core. NWTF Integrated Systems, more commonly known as NIS, provides the technology infrastructure and develops systems that support NWTF and DBI in their operations. This includes the establishment of a state-of-the-art data center.
There is a big peculiarity in the way we service our clients here at NWTF. The clients, a lot of which are actually in the rural areas. And being in the rural areas, it really poses a different set of issues, a different set of challenges for us. These challenges involve connectivity, reliability, security, and of course, just the simple delivery of service. And this is why we put up a data center.
This data center serves all the processing, storage, and data warehousing needs of the organization as it works to ensure high reliability and optimal performance at the best possible security.
The key word is center when defining a data center. It's basically a facility which allows an organization to govern IT functions in one location, essentially centralizing IT operations for the purpose of storing, processing, and disseminating data and applications. The data center houses various equipment such as telecommunications and storage systems, crucial to the continuity of the daily operations of the organization. Our use of the data center has enabled us to leverage advanced technology to provide our clients with business continuity, system reliability and flexibility, real-time data access, data security, and at the same time, reduction of the time-to-market deployment of applications.
These innovations are tailored in accordance with the client's growing needs and are continuously developed, ensuring that it is at par with advancement of the financial industry and the delivery of its vital services. Hence, creating more opportunities and establishing best practices as a standard.
Our data center is a 40 square meter room area which follows the data center standards. This includes the following: data center standard server racks, raised flooring, multiple internet connections with primary and secondary, redundant cooling, redundant power systems, redundant generator sets, data center monitoring, and security. We have acquired some of the best technologies to complement our data center. Our servers and equipments are one of today's leading brands, which involves hyperconverged infrastructure, software working, managing your data center, which in turn giving you more compute, storage, and memory capacity when you need it. Another key technology that we have in our data center is the software-defined wide area networking, or SD-WAN. With SD-WAN, connecting branch locations has been made easier and faster. Any branch location with an internet connection can connect to the data center in a faster, reliable, and secured way when using SD-WAN.
Maximizing this new technology paved a way for NWTF to gain much needed efficiency that allowed it to further its reach, which meant that more clients could avail of NWTF services as part of its commitment to continuously help more families and build more Dunganon communities. Organizations and many other companies deal with a massive flow of information every day. They require a flexible and unified system that ensures secured storage, connectivity, and data management. Our answer? The data center. This data center offers a hyper-converged infrastructure that delivers accurate and reliable results that supports the efficiency and continuity of daily operations.
At Negros Women for Tomorrow Foundation and Dunganon Bank, that every connected and secure. This we even took to the next level by making sure that the data center has some of the leading technology, such as WAN optimization for data transfer, flexibility in expanding computing power and increasing memory, as well as a new state-of-the-art power system complete with lithium batteries that will allow us to not only be reliable during regular times, but even during times of calamities and disaster. This data center is really the start of a digital journey here at Dunganon. Today, we have most of our applications internally, used by our branches and the staff that interface with the clients. However, very soon, we will be extending this technology directly to the clients through various applications that will allow them to interact directly with a specific unit that delivers this service. We at Dunganon have always believed that the poor must have equitable share of the advances of modern life that will allow them to further their ambition and fuel their drive. This is also what drives us at NWTF to not only do this for our clients, but also offer these services to everyone. The SMEs and the businesses that we have here in the communities where we serve. We need to be able to use affordable and world-class technology to help solve the issues of this world. And all this is available to each and every one of you. Because at Dunganon, we believe that technology is an enabler that allows us to deliver on the promise of improving the lives of our clients and that of their families.
So that's it. And again, technology is today, and technology is an enabler for better tomorrows for us here at Negros Women for Tomorrow Foundation Incorporated. So thank you everyone for joining this webinar. Doc May, thank you for the invitation. And that concludes my webinar or my topic for today. I hope most of you learned something from this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brian Gayoso. And yeah, that was very comprehensive, very meaningful discussion. And the topic that you discussed, Sir Brian, is very relevant, of course, to our students. And I have two questions here, Sir Brian, coming from my student. She actually chat me directly. Two questions relating to also specifically in your organization we're connected right now, as well as in general as a student. First question is, what challenges does that NWTF face in adopting new technology, especially uh, your most of your clients are not technologically literate, or should I say that there are some old people that are not really um, well equipped in using technology. How the NWTF adopt it, or maybe face it in that kind of challenge?
So currently, it's still a struggle for us here at NWTF. But what we do is we train our field officers because they are the frontliners of our organization, and they would transfer that information to our clients. But at the same time, what we do is we do different ways of communicating to our clients. Number one is also giving them instructional videos, because again, people would are more what you inclined to use the technology if they would see videos, or we do also social media campaign. And at the same time, lastly is again conducting orientations and trainings. What we did during this year is visited some of the offices here at NWTF, and we had a group of individuals or members who are interested in our mobile applications, and they were given a first-hand also training or orientation by our department.
But so far, Sir Brian, how was it? How's the progress? Is there any improvement? Especially like
Yes.
senior. Do you have clients that 60 years old and above, or
Yes, we do
so?
have. So, it's growing, but it's in an incremental or minimal. So, what we're targeting next year is actually to increase that one. Same is true with our GCash payment. So,
Mhm.
we're trying also to push our GCash payments because instead of going to centers physically, what they can do is pay also via GCash.
Thank you, Sir Brian. Hopefully, my students are listening right now. Next, last one question. If class may mga question ka mo for Sir Brian, you may also chat in a chat box. With the high cost of technology, we know purchasing very expensive laptop, phones, um, we can really say that technology is very expensive. What strategies can maybe a school implement to ensure that students are not left behind? You can, because you also had an experience teaching in UNOR, as also, I mean, in LaSalle, as well as right now you're also a part-time faculty in UNOR. So based also, sir, in your experience, what strategies can you share to our students with the very expensive technology, how they ensure, how us a faculty and you as well ensure that students will not be left behind?
So it's this is actually what I'm trying to say also most of the time, no. You will not learn new technology if you will not expose yourself to it. Okay? So one way or one strategy is to expose yourselves. Okay? So for example, what if you don't have money to purchase, these type of technologies, no? We can do again upskilling through watching videos online. Now, besides actually, of course, from learning from the teachers in the university, but also you have to upskill. You're trying to look for videos, no, online. You could try to check, or may check on tutorials, for example, or for example, there are a lot of websites online that you could also get information from. Okay, not only websites, there are also other Facebook groups like community. We have different communities online wherein you could join a specific group and you would try to ask specific questions also related to that technology. They could also help you answer with that one. So, but again, with, for example, if you really want to purchase, for example, laptops, etc., no, I think it would be also a call, I think, of the school to the school to invest also in other technologies. And you can be course it through, of course, to the different colleges and also to the admin. But again, one way to address that one is so that students will not be left behind is actually exposing yourself. Not It may not be the actual device or the actual technology that you have, but even watching videos or tutorials online or joining a specific community in different social media platforms.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sir Brian, for your explanation, for answering the question. By the way, for those who have any question, you may chat here or basta inahuya lang sila. Anyway, this webinar is recorded and may also request Sir Brian if you can share also your presentation so that I can send it to my students as well because this is part of their output as well, their final output. Any questions from from C51? Wala, may mga questions, Sir Brian. Or they're doing, yeah, I mentioned Sir Brian, they're doing multitasking.
Yes, no.
Right now, what's our
Um,
activity tonight, Sir Brian?
I think it's Battle of the Bands. No, there's an
I think
entrance
so.
fee of 50 pesos.
50
If you want to join
pesos.
in the
Uh,
amphitheater. No, correct if I'm wrong. And
yeah, I
watch the
think,
events.
so
Okay.
medyo busy subong. And I also have mga HM students na they have also competitions right now. So they're just trying to log in, log out. No. So anyway, this is recorded. And rest assured that, of course, the presentation of Sir Brian will be also sent to your respective emails and as well in our, hopefully sa aton nga GC as well, makasend. So if no question, let me share also the certificate to our speaker this afternoon. And again, Sir Brian, I would like also to really personally, of course, thank for giving me all of giving time as well to our students. I know you're so busy with a different schedule, a very hectic schedule, but let me present to you a certificate of appreciation. The certificate reads that this award is given to Mr. Brian Janelle El Gayoso, MBA, and a grateful appreciation for your outstanding contribution as a webinar speaker on this day at 18th of December 2025 with the theme Building Resilient Organizations Amid Technology Disruption. And to be signed by yours truly, Mary May F. Nawano, PhD, Faculty of CBA, and also Grace Elo Pena, CPA, PhD, our college dean. So
Thank you
thank you
so
so much, Sir
much.
Brian. Thank you so much again, dear students. Thank you very much. And enjoy the rest of your evening and keep safe, everyone. Thank you, Sir Brian.
Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.